For this question, there's only a couple things that you need to know to be able to solve it. First thing you need to know is that anytime you have an even root radical, like we have here, the fourth root of x, then you cannot have a negative under the radical, or it's an imaginary number. And that is not true if it was an odd root, but we'll continue from there. So then you need to know a couple definitions. You know that a real number is any number, positive or negative, that can be found on a number line. A rational number is any real number that can be expressed as a fraction. And an irrational number is a real number that cannot be expressed as a fraction. Pi is an example. It never repeats. It just continues with decimals forever, and therefore you cannot express it as a fraction. And you need to know the definition of integer, which is whole number. If you don't know any of those definitions, go ahead and add them to your cheat sheet one at a time, master them, and go back 5 before continuing in the video. So now we can just go through and eliminate these answers. An even real number. So it could be an odd real number under as x, and it would still come out to be a real number. So that is not our answer. A rational number. It doesn't have to be a rational number. It could be irrational. You could have pi under there. The cube root of pi is still going to be a real number, or the fourth root of pi, rather. An integer can be an integer. We can just pick an integer and see that it comes out to be a real number. A non-negative real number. Now that is going to be true. It can't be a negative real number. And so it must be a non-negative real number. If we put a negative in there, it's going to be an imaginary number and therefore not a real number. Any real number. It can't be any real number because negatives are real numbers and it can't be a negative. So we can eliminate everything except for J, and J works. So that is our answer.